Chosen one, your life is about to change completely because you have passed God's toughest test. The fact that you clicked to watch this video today is no coincidence, but a part of the divine plan of the universe. Every journey to greatness is filled with struggle, perseverance, and moments of doubt. And all your suffering was a part of this test of God, and I am happy to tell you that God, in His infinite wisdom, has chosen you for a special mission or purpose. Now, in the coming few days, something is going to happen in your life that will change your life completely. And you have started getting signs of it. Those signs can only be seen by the chosen ones. In many traditions, the chosen person is not an ordinary person. They are a leader, a guide, and a ray of hope for the people around them. And when God was testing you, you had every quality that was needed to choose Him as His special man. Now, God has declared you as the chosen king. Being declared the chosen king is beyond personal pride. It is a responsibility to lead, serve, and inspire with divine power. In today's video, we will find out how everything is falling into place for you, the chosen one, and why God has declared you the chosen king. Before the universe immerses you into this deep transformation, you can give your feedback to the universe by commenting 999. And if you are not connected to the energy of this channel, you can join by subscribing to the channel. Let's find out what it means when God declares you the chosen king. Divine selection, the calling of the chosen one. When God declares someone to be the chosen king, it's not a decision made by human standards or through any worldly process. It's a divine selection, one that originates from a place far beyond human understanding, from the heart of God's will and purpose. This is not a random event or a title handed out by chance. The chosen one is carefully picked by God, and this choice is part of a larger divine plan that stretches far beyond the individual. It is a selection made with foresight and wisdom, a knowing that the chosen person will fulfill a specific purpose at a pivotal moment in history. The calling of the chosen one is rooted in divine foresight, meaning that God knows exactly what the individual is capable of, even if they themselves may not understand it at the time. God doesn't choose based on the things the world sees, such as wealth, status, or outward ability, but rather He sees the heart, the inner strength, and the potential for greatness according to His perfect plan. Being chosen by God means that your life has been ordained for something greater than yourself. It's a role that will demand sacrifice, faith, and commitment, but it is also a chance to walk a path of purpose and meaning. At first, the calling of the chosen one may not be immediately clear. The individual might not know why they feel a deep sense of responsibility or why certain events seem to draw them toward a specific destiny. The journey of the chosen one is not always a straight path. It's often full of confusion, uncertainty, and even resistance as the person grapples with the enormity of their calling. But in time, the purpose becomes clearer. Signs and visions may appear along the way, guiding the chosen one toward the path they are meant to take. These signs can come in many forms. They might be vivid dreams or prophetic visions, moments of deep inspiration, or even encounters with other people who seem to reflect God's purpose for them. Sometimes the calling may be less dramatic, appearing as a quiet whisper or a subtle nudge from within. These whispers can be a feeling of knowing, a quiet but firm sense of direction that grows over time. For some, it might come in the form of a deep desire to serve others, to bring about change, or to lead with love and compassion. It might be a voice in the heart that grows louder, guiding them to take steps that seem to align with a greater good. In whatever form the calling manifests, the chosen one feels a pull toward something much larger than themselves. They begin to understand that their life has been set apart for this mission. They might not have asked for this responsibility, and they might not feel ready for it, but they know that they have been called for such a time as this. The concept of being chosen by God carries with it a sense of sacred duty. It's not about personal glory or accolades. It's about responding to a higher purpose and trusting that God will equip them for whatever lies ahead. The calling is often filled with challenges and tests, but it is also filled with deep fulfillment, knowing that their life is making a difference in ways they could not have imagined. Being the chosen one means walking a path of faith, courage, and hope, trusting that God's plan will unfold as they step forward in obedience. Spiritual anointing, empowered by God. Being declared God's chosen king is not just a title or a worldly position. It comes with something much more profound than that: spiritual anointing. This anointing is not about oil or ceremonial gestures, although they may symbolize it. Rather, it is a deep, transformational gift imbued with divine power, wisdom, and authority that enables the chosen person to fulfill his role with divine guidance. It is a kind of empowerment that comes from God Himself, intended to equip and enable the chosen person to fulfill a higher purpose with grace and insight. When God calls someone to be the chosen king, spiritual anointing is the heart of leadership. It is not about relying on personal power, talent, or intelligence alone. Rather, the chosen king is empowered to lead with a profound spiritual wisdom that is beyond what the world has to offer. This wisdom is not learned in books or gained from experience alone. It is received directly from God. It is a wisdom that helps the chosen one see beyond the immediate circumstances, understanding the deeper truth and long-term consequences of decisions. This wisdom guides them when they must lead with justice and compassion, even in situations where there doesn't seem to be an obvious answer. This anointing is also about spiritual authority. The chosen king is not leading from a position of personal power, but from a place where God's will is the true source of power. It is the recognition that their authority does not come from themselves, but from a higher calling. God's authority rests upon them, and it is through this divine empowerment that they are able to lead with integrity and purpose. When the chosen king speaks or makes decisions, they do so with the weight of God's will, which means their leadership is not merely earthly, it has a spiritual dimension. The people they lead feel this, and it gives them confidence that their leader's guidance is about more than mere human ambition. The most important aspect of this spiritual anointing is the grace that comes with it. Grace is the divine favor that gives the chosen king the power to do what they could never do on their own. It is the ability to forgive when the going gets tough, to show mercy when they are unworthy, and to walk in humility when the world might tempt them to act in an arrogant way. Grace is also the power to endure hardship and persevere in the face of trials. The chosen person is given the resilience to persevere in difficult times, not by their own strength, but by God's constant grace. This grace ensures that the chosen king can stay focused on the greater purpose despite the challenges. The spiritual anointing also serves to set the chosen king apart. It marks the person as one who is to be used by God in a special way. It does not make the person better or more important than others in an earthly sense, but it means that they have been chosen for a divine purpose that requires them to act in a way that reflects God's love, justice, and mercy. The chosen person is not simply a ruler. They are a vehicle for God's will on earth. This anointing helps them see themselves not as the ultimate authority, but as servants of a higher power, always seeking to align their actions with God's will. The empowerment of the spiritual anointing is an ongoing process, which grows and deepens as the chosen king walks in obedience. It is not a one-time event, but a continual source of guidance and strength. Through prayer, meditation, and seeking God's presence, the chosen king's connection to this divine anointing grows stronger. They become more attuned to God's voice, more sensitive to His instruction, and more capable of fulfilling their divine calling. Through this spiritual empowerment, they are able to bring God's kingdom to earth, not through force or personal power, but through the quiet power that comes from being deeply connected to God. The weight of responsibility. Being chosen by God as a king is a deeply humbling and sacred calling, but with it comes an immense weight of responsibility that should never be underestimated. It's easy to imagine leadership as a position of privilege or power, filled with luxury, admiration, and the perks of status. However, the role of the chosen king is far from this. It's not about enjoying the comforts of authority or basking in the glory of being in charge. It's about a profound duty to serve, protect, and lead others with integrity and wisdom. The chosen king doesn't simply wield power. They carry the burden of responsibility for those entrusted to their care, knowing that every decision they make can ripple out to affect many lives. This weight of responsibility is not something that the chosen king carries lightly. Every decision they make, whether big or small, has consequences that extend beyond their own life. Their choices can shape the future of a community, a nation, or even generations to come. In many ways, being the chosen king means constantly balancing the needs of the people with the weight of difficult decisions, often choosing the path that is not always easy or personally beneficial. They must make decisions that will ensure the well-being of others, even if it means sacrificing their own comfort or desires. This is where the true weight of the responsibility lies. It's in understanding that leadership is about service, not self-indulgence. The chosen king's primary duty is to guide those who look to them for direction. It's not about making choices that benefit the leader personally, but rather making choices that are grounded in fairness, justice, and wisdom. The responsibility of leadership means putting the greater good above one's own ambitions, desires, or comfort. Every action taken must be weighed carefully, considering how it will affect the lives of others and whether it aligns with the values of righteousness and truth. The chosen king must also protect those they serve, not just from external threats, but from harm in all its forms. This protection is not limited to physical safety. It also extends to emotional, spiritual, and social well-being. The king must be vigilant, aware of the needs of the people, and act as a guardian of peace and justice. Their responsibility goes beyond their own reign. It encompasses the welfare of future generations, ensuring that their rule does not leave harm or destruction in its wake, but instead leaves a legacy of compassion and righteousness. There is also the internal weight of responsibility that the chosen king must carry. They are constantly confronted with the challenge of remaining humble, wise, and compassionate. It's easy to be swayed by the praise of others or by the temptation to use their position for personal gain. But the chosen king must constantly remind themselves that they are stewards, not owners of their position. Their true calling is to serve as an instrument of God's will, to act as a vessel of righteousness and justice, and to lead with a heart that reflects God's love and truth. The weight of responsibility is also a constant reminder of the need for divine guidance. The chosen king must rely on God for wisdom and strength, knowing that their own abilities are not enough. The role requires prayer, reflection, and a continual connection to the divine, seeking guidance in moments of doubt or indecision. The burden of responsibility is heavy, but with God's wisdom and grace, the chosen king can navigate the challenges of leadership and fulfill their calling with integrity. The weight of responsibility is a sign of the sacred trust that God has placed in the chosen king. It's a reminder that leadership is not about personal glory or self-interest, but about fulfilling a divine purpose to lead, serve, and protect others for the greater good. A leader amongst people, serving as an example. A chosen king appointed by God holds a position of great responsibility, but the essence of true leadership lies not in authority or dominance, it lies in service. To lead by example is to show the people what it means to live a life of integrity, humility, and compassion. A leader who truly embodies their calling is never set apart as someone above others, but rather as someone who walks alongside them, guiding them with wisdom, understanding, and grace. True kingship is not about being elevated above the people, it's about being a servant to them, showing them the way through one's actions, choices, and character. The chosen king is called to serve with humility. This means that even though they may hold the title and power, they never forget that their role is not about themselves, but about those they lead. It's easy to become blinded by the trappings of leadership, by the perks of influence, wealth, or status. But the true mark of a chosen king is the ability to put others first. They must constantly check their own ego and remain grounded in the understanding that their authority comes from God and is meant to be used for the good of others. When a king leads with humility, they acknowledge that every person has value, that their people's needs matter, and that their leadership is meant to uplift, not oppress. Integrity is another cornerstone of the chosen king's leadership. Integrity means that the leader's actions align with their words and that they live according to the principles they profess. People look to their leaders not just for guidance, but for inspiration. They want to see a leader who lives by the same standards they expect others to uphold. The chosen king must always act with honesty, fairness, and a deep sense of justice. In times of conflict or difficulty, when the temptation to compromise or take shortcuts arises, the chosen king remains firm in their principles, demonstrating to others what it means to act with righteousness. Perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of leadership is when the chosen king faces adversity. A leader's true character is revealed not when everything is going well, but when things are tough. In times of trial, the chosen king is tested, and their response sets the example for others. The people are watching to see how their leader reacts to challenges, whether they will act with mercy, kindness, and patience, or whether they will become harsh, vengeful, or resentful. In moments of conflict, the chosen king must demonstrate strength, but not the kind of strength that dominates or crushes others. Rather, it is the strength to show compassion, to forgive, and to walk through hardships with grace. This kind of strength is not a display of power over others, but a quiet, steadfast resilience that encourages the people to do the same in their own lives. In demonstrating mercy and kindness, the chosen king not only leads by example, but also teaches the people how to walk the righteous path. Leading through example means showing others how to treat one another with respect, how to love and serve with humility, and how to act justly even when it's difficult. The chosen king's life should reflect the very values they wish to instill in their kingdom. By living these values every day, they help to cultivate a culture of goodness, justice, and love in the land. Through all of this, the chosen king proves that true leadership is not about command or control, but about guiding others toward a higher purpose, leading them to walk the path of righteousness, and lifting them up in every way possible. The chosen king is a mirror to the people, showing them not just the way, but how to live the way. It is in this service and example that the chosen king truly fulfills their divine calling. Overcoming challenges. Trials of the chosen. The journey of the chosen king is rarely a simple or easy one. While the title may come with honor and divine purpose, The path is often filled with challenges that test the very core of the leader's being. God does not call someone to lead without first preparing them for the trials that will come. These challenges are not meant to break the chosen one or to prove their weakness, but rather to refine them, to shape their character, and to ensure that they are fully equipped to lead with wisdom, integrity, and strength. Every trial, every obstacle serves a higher purpose in the divine plan, molding the chosen king into the leader they are meant to be. External opposition is one of the first and most visible trials a chosen king will face. The moment someone is called to lead, there will inevitably be those who oppose them. This opposition might come from rival leaders, jealous individuals, or even those who do not understand or accept the king's divine calling. It can come in the form of criticism, sabotage, or attempts to discredit the leader. This external pressure can be overwhelming, and at times it might feel like the world is against the chosen one. But this opposition is part of the refining process. It forces the king to stand firm in their faith, to trust in God's purpose, and to learn to navigate conflict with wisdom and grace. Every challenge that arises from opposition is an opportunity for the chosen king to grow in resilience, to sharpen their leadership skills, and to become more deeply rooted in their mission. At the same time, the chosen king faces internal doubts and struggles. Even the most divine calling is not immune to moments of uncertainty. There will be times when the weight of responsibility feels too heavy, when the king questions their own abilities, or when they wonder if they are truly the right person for the task at hand. It is in these moments of doubt that the chosen king must rely on their faith and their trust in God. These internal struggles are not signs of weakness, but opportunities for spiritual growth. They are moments when the king's faith is tested and strengthened. Through these trials, the chosen king learns to lean not on their own understanding, but on the strength and guidance that comes from God. The trials faced by the chosen king are not only external and internal, they are also moments that test the very essence of their character. As the king leads through adversity, their ability to demonstrate patience, mercy, and justice is constantly challenged. There may be moments when it feels tempting to react harshly or to take shortcuts to solve a problem, but the chosen king is called to resist these urges and to lead with integrity. Every trial pushes the king to act with greater wisdom, to think carefully about the consequences of their actions, and to remain humble and compassionate even when facing opposition. Through each challenge, the king learns how to lead with not only strength, but also with grace, ensuring that they reflect the divine values they are called to embody. These trials serve to reveal the true strength of the chosen king. It is easy to look strong when things are going well, but the true test of leadership comes when the king is faced with difficulty, when their faith is shaken, and when they are forced to confront their own weaknesses. These moments reveal who the chosen king truly is at their core. Through perseverance, faith, and unwavering trust in God, the king's strength is refined. The challenges they face become stepping stones toward becoming the leader they were always meant to be. The trials of the chosen king are not meant to be avoided, but embraced. They are essential to the leader's growth, strengthening their faith and leadership abilities. By facing these challenges head-on, the chosen king becomes the person God has called them to be, stronger, wiser, and more capable of leading with purpose and integrity. Divine guidance, listening to the voice of God. For the chosen king, the journey of leadership is not one they walk alone. At the core of their calling is the need to remain deeply attuned to the voice of God. This divine guidance is not just a luxury, it is essential for the king to make wise, just, and righteous decisions. God's wisdom becomes the compass that directs the chosen king, helping them navigate the complexities of leadership and fulfill their destiny. Without this connection to the divine, the chosen king risks becoming lost in the weight of their responsibility, relying solely on their own understanding or the influence of others. But with God's guidance, they can lead with clarity, compassion, and purpose. Listening to the voice of God is not always easy, especially in a world filled with distractions, noise, and competing demands. In the midst of busy days and mounting pressures, it can be hard to discern God's voice from the many voices around them. But the chosen king must carve out space for stillness, where they can listen intently and hear God's direction. This often comes through prayer, an intimate conversation with God where the king lays down their worries, doubts, and desires and listens for divine insight. It may not always be in the form of an audible voice, but in the quiet stirrings of the heart, in moments of reflection, or in deep feelings of peace that surpass human understanding. In these sacred moments, the chosen king finds the clarity they need to lead with wisdom and grace. Prayer and reflection are essential practices that allow the chosen king to maintain this connection to God. Through prayer, they invite God into their decisions and seek guidance not just for their personal life, but for the well-being of the people they lead. In times of doubt, confusion, or when faced with difficult choices, the king must turn inward to God for clarity. These moments of prayer are not just about asking for answers, but about aligning their heart and mind with God's will. It's about seeking not only the right decision, but the right spirit, the spirit of humility, compassion, and justice that should guide those decisions. It's in this sacred exchange that the chosen king finds the strength to move forward, even when the road ahead is unclear or uncertain. The connection between the chosen king and God is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey of deepening relationship. As the king grows in faith, their ability to hear God's voice grows as well. The more they align themselves with divine wisdom, the more attuned they become to God's guidance. This ongoing relationship is what sustains the chosen king through the challenges they face. The reassurance of God's presence and direction becomes a steady anchor in moments of uncertainty. When the pressure of leadership feels overwhelming or the king faces opposition, they can rest in the knowledge that they are not making decisions alone. God is guiding them every step of the way. Through this divine guidance, the chosen king leads not just with intellect or strength, but with deep compassion and understanding. Their decisions are not simply based on logic, but on a wisdom that transcends human reasoning. This divine wisdom helps them navigate difficult situations with grace, showing mercy when needed and standing firm in justice when required. By listening to God's voice, the king leads in a way that reflects God's love for all people, guiding them toward peace, fairness, and the greater good. Divine guidance shapes the very essence of the chosen king's leadership. It is what enables them to fulfill their divine purpose and lead with compassion, wisdom, and understanding. By remaining connected to the voice of God, the chosen king ensures that their reign is not built on personal ambition, but on a higher calling, a calling to serve, protect, and guide others according to God's perfect will. The legacy, impact beyond a lifetime. The true measure of a chosen king is not found in the wealth they accumulate or the power they wield during their lifetime, but in the lasting impact they leave behind. A chosen king is called to create a legacy that transcends their earthly existence, one that continues to inspire, guide, and uplift future generations long after they are gone. This legacy is not built on personal glory or accolades, but on the example the king sets, the actions they take, and the teachings they pass on. It is a legacy that reflects divine purpose and continues to ripple through time, affecting the lives of many even after the king has passed from this world. A legacy begins with the way a leader lives their life. For the chosen king, every decision, every action, and every word is an opportunity to create an example that others will follow. It's not enough to simply do what is right in the moment. The chosen king must live in a way that inspires others to seek the same virtues. This means living with integrity, humility, and compassion in every situation. The legacy of a chosen king is rooted in the way they treat others, especially those who are vulnerable, oppressed, or in need of guidance. The kindness, fairness, and justice they demonstrate become the blueprint for future leaders and followers. People remember how the king made them feel, how they led with wisdom, and how they consistently made choices that reflected divine love and justice. In addition to their actions, the teachings of the chosen king are another cornerstone of their legacy. A true leader does not simply lead through their presence or authority, but through the wisdom and principles they impart to those who follow them. The teachings of the chosen king, grounded in divine truth, serve as a guide for others to walk in their own purpose. These teachings might not always be found in books or formal speeches, but in the everyday moments of leadership, through the way the king listens, how they offer counsel, or the lessons they impart during moments of crisis. When a chosen king shares the wisdom they've received from God, they pass on more than just information. They pass on a way of life. These lessons can shape the hearts and minds of future generations, empowering them to lead in turn. The legacy of the chosen king is also found in the example they set for others to follow. Leadership is not about creating followers, but about empowering others to become leaders themselves. The chosen king's true legacy is one that equips and inspires others to walk in their divine purpose. The way the king lives, demonstrating love, wisdom, and humility, becomes a powerful model for others to emulate. As they live out their purpose, they empower others to do the same. This is the power of a legacy that goes beyond an individual life. It creates a ripple effect that touches the hearts of countless others, motivating them to walk in righteousness and pursue their own callings. Conclusion: being chosen by God to be a king is not a title for personal glory, but a profound responsibility. The chosen one is called to be an instrument of divine will, a leader, a servant, and a guide for others. The road is difficult, but with humility, faith, and divine guidance, the chosen king fulfills their destiny and leaves an everlasting legacy. Remember, being chosen is not just about being crowned. It's about what you do with that crown and how you serve the kingdom.